Well, so I think it is interesting that what we are hearing now is this allusion to financing, to the money, to the interests that were behind this, right? And I think sort of we've always been very clear, this isn't necessarily about the folks who showed up that day. It is about the forces that were driving them there at that moment. What more can you tell us about that piece?
Right. It's absolutely about this connecting the dots element that Adam Schiff had just referred to. A committee or a source close to this investigation I talked to a couple of days ago said they're going to be trying to convey the full extent of who organized, who funded, who participated in this riot. One source months ago had described this to me as a fire that had been kindling for months and months and months. And they want to convey to the American public not just who lit the match, but who did the kindling. They want to talk about everything from the former president, Donald Trump's attempts to spread the big lie, the way his allies were doing it, whipping up that crowd at the Ellipse, trying to pressure the Justice Department, as well as state election officials, state legislators, to go along with his attempt to discount legitimate votes for Joe Biden in that election. So there's going to be a lot of trying to weave that narrative together in kind of a coherent sense so people can understand that everything Trump did was connected from the beginning to that day on January 6th. Now, Alicia, there's also been a lot of question about Watergate, the comparisons to Watergate.
Yes.
The biggest similarity to Watergate is that the question will be asked, what did the president know and when did he know it? The biggest difference between this and Watergate is that during Watergate, the senator who asked that question, Howard Baker, was a Republican. You could be a Republican and stand up to a president of your own party without getting excommunicated from the party then. It's much more difficult now in this age of party polarization and sorting.
The political dynamics are different. The media environment is different. Eugene, I have one last question for you, which is what are you hearing from the White House about what they see as the role in this? It's my sense that they're trying to keep some distance.
No, absolutely. They've been trying to do that this entire time, right? Allowing the committee to kind of do its work and only kind of pop up when it was time to say whether or not there was executive privilege that could be bestowed upon someone. They often said no. But also when talking about how dangerous that day was, talking about how important it is to protect democracy, and that's what we're going to continue to see. We're not going to see from the White House, from the president's Twitter handle or anywhere, Instagram handle or anywhere, kind of talking about the day-to-day of what is going to be happening in these committee hearings. They don't want to see the president being seen as putting pressure on this committee, trying to put his thumb on the scale. They want to have him kind of seem above reproach when it comes to whatever, as things move on and whatever the committee wants to do after this. They want their hands to be clean. So we're not going to hear a ton from the White House, but they're watching. They're obviously going to be watching just like all of us because they're just as curious to see how this committee puts this storyline together for the American people. Because not only is it important to the fact that this is the administration that won the 2020 election and that January 6th was about, but also they really are worried and concerned about what it means and portends for democracy, the future of democracy in this country, if there isn't a tale that's told about what happened, and more importantly, if there's any kind of political or legal consequences for folks who did it.